boys and girls, and welcome back to Kids on a Mission, Episode 3. Our special missionary kid guests today are the Parks brothers from Lebanon. They're going to share with us how they do practical things to help their parents in the mission field. Their dad, Uncle Bayard Parks, is also going to be telling us a story about a boy who changed the world by feeding 2 billion people. You heard right, 2 billion people. We're also going to learn from Renee Tiernison, a missionary for AFM, all about a little girl whose name is Yellow. Believe it or not, that's really her name. So stay tuned to hear more of these stories.
So it's a Sabbath afternoon and we're about to head out to a village called Pucheri. It's quite a remote village, quite far out. But to get there we have to go through a very muddy road full of potholes. It's literally just started pouring down rain. It's going to be super muddy, it's going to be super hard to get in there. We're starting to hit the muddy part. Got a massive puddle here. So as it turns out, this puddle's a lot too deep to drive across in the truck, so we're having to park it over there and walk right through it. Oh, my shoes are actually stuck though. So I literally destroyed my shoes going through this. So now I'm barefoot in socks on the mud. Oh, we should have just taken a motorbike. I could have saved my shoes. It's harder than one would think to get to a Bible study in Cambodia.
can't give up. Came on the air.
It's always an adventure getting to Bible studies here at the Penol Project. But that's why we're missionaries. We don't do it because it's easy. We do it because so many people haven't heard about Jesus.
If you're black or if you're white or if you're fat or lean, God loves you. If you're tall or if you're short or if you're in between, God loves you. He loves you when you're happy, He loves you when you're sad, He loves you when you're very good, and even if you're bad. So no matter what you look like, no matter what you do, God loves you. Give Him the glory. God loves you. He loves you too. Yeah.
Hallo, ek is Ivan en ek is Denai. Om 'n stelling te wees beteken dat ek en jy tyd met Jesus te spandeer. En dit is om leer ken soos ons beste maatjie. Of wag, kom ons verduidelik dit so.
Byvoorbeeld 'n flits. Wat kort 'n flits om te werk?
'n Battery. Julle is doodtrek. Die battery gee krag vir die flits sodat hy sy liggie kan skyn. Jesus is ons battery en so met ons liggie skyn.
Ons kort Jesus om ons liggies te skyn. En daarom kan ons liggies op ander mense skyn.
Soos hierdie flits. As die flits nou op die lig op hierdie spieël gaan skyn, gaan dit reflekteer op hierdie mannetjies en kan by soveel mense bereik meer as wat verwag.
Jesus kan jou vir groot dinge gebruik. Hy kort ons om sy sendelinge te wees.
Onthou om jy Bybel te lees en elke dag te bid. Want Jesus is battery en gee vir ons liggies krag, sodat dit op baie mense kan skyn.
Ons dierbare Hemelse Vader, dankie dat U ons bewaar het deur hierdie dag, waar ons nou uit die woord gaan bestudeer. Vra ek dat U ons sal lei. Here, dan vra ek dat U asseblief ons sal help om 'n seën vir ander te wees. Amen.
Amen.
So vanaand wil ek vir julle 'n wonderlike storie vertel van hoe die Here 'n ma en haar klein dogtertjie gered het. Hulle het ter bus gereis en ewe skielik het gorilla soldate aangeval.
Gorilla soldate? Pappa, is hulle ape?
Nee my dogter, gorilla soldate is mense wat teen die regering beklei. So, die gorilla soldate het die bus aangeval en verskeie mense geskiet. Maar die een soldaat het na ewe skielik na die ma toe geloop. En hy het vir baie hardloop in die bos en kry weg. En sy het haar dogtertjie gegryp en hulle het toe in die bos gaan weg en tot die soldate weg was. En ewe skielik het 'n man in hulle verskyn en hy het gesê, volg my. Maar hy het nie soos 'n gorilla soldaat gelyk nie. En die vrou en haar dogtertjie het toe gevolg in die volgende dorp. En die man het vir hulle baie gewys waar hulle by die polisiestasie die busaanval kan aanmeld. Die vrou vir 'n oomblik kyk waartoe die man beduie en terugdraai om te bedank. Dit verdwyn.
Pappa, was dit 'n engel?
Dit kan wees, of dit kan dalk Here Jesus self gewees het wat die vrou en haar dogtertjie gelei het tot die volgende dorpie.
Ek dink ek het 'n versie wat daarby gaan. Ek dink, hou my vas. Dit is in Psalm 34, ek dink is vers 8. Ja, dit sê, die engel van die Here slaan sy laar op rondom die wat die Here dien en red hulle.
Maar God het my nie so lief.
Bloemerie, hoekom sê die Here het nie lief vir my dogter?
Want pappa, ek vra hom die hele tyd om my te wys, maar ek kry niks antwoord nie. Hy wys my nie.
My kind, kom ons bid en vra vir Jesus dat hy vir jou sal wys dat jy so kosbaar is vir hom.
Ek en mamma sal aanhou bid, dat die Here vir jou kan wys hoe verskriklik lief hy jou het.
Dis baie beskeid. Ja, my skat, die ander is nog besig in die oond. Hoekom maak ons so baie beskeid?
Dit is om ander mense te help wat sukkel met die coronavirus.
O ja, en almal hou van beskeid.
Ja, my kind.
Is jy amper klaar, skat? Ek moet die koekies in die oond kry. Ek is amper klaar, Tannie. Ek spoel hom net af. Tannie, ek moet 5 uur by die huis wees. Okay, nie worry, ons sal voor dit klaar wees. Die ballon het agtergebly. Akkoord. Die kinders van die 7de dagste Adventiste kerk wil net vir jou sê, God is lief vir jou. God is lief vir my. God is lief vir my. Mama. Marie, wat is jy? Kyk mamma, ek het 'n briefie gekry. En die bome, dis van Holland, mamma. My kind. Oh. Hierdie is 'n gebed van Jesus wat ons vir hom gebid het. Hy het geantwoord, is reg. Hy het hierdie 1600 kilometer beskerm. Van Holland tot in Swede om vir jou te sê dat jy spesiaal is. Wag. Ek wil dit gebruik as 'n boekmerk. Haal die touwtjie af, dis ook nie kapie. Kan wel glo dit het gebeur?
God het elkeen van ons vreeslik lief, dat hy daai ballon 1600 km ver van die huis het, en selfs veilig gehou het. En wel was daar kindertjies wat naby aan gespeel het, sodat hy by jy wat doemerie is, kon uitkom.
Papa, dit laat my so spesiaal voel. En om te dink dat ons die brief van God se liefde vir iemand anders kan wees.
My kind, jy hoef nie in 'n ander land te gaan om 'n sendinggees vir Jesus te hê nie. Jy kan dit hier in jou eie land doen, kan jy vir Jesus werk.
My kind, om vir iemand te glimlag, om vir hulle 'n briefie te skryf en om saam met hulle te bid, ou mensies te help. Om vir mense kos te gee wat nie het, is alles maniere hoe jy vir Jesus kan maak.
Jesus sê, ons kan van die eenvoudigste van mense dinge doen, nie soos wat ons dit vir hom kan doen.
Dit laat my so spesiaal voel om te weet dat God my liefhet. Ek wil hê ander mense moet dit ook weet, mamma.
Jy is reg. En dis wat jy moet doen in jou toekoms. Maar nou is dit tyd om te slaap. En hulle hoor by hulle maatjies. Kom, klim in.
Nag my kind.
Oké, hallo allemaal.
Hallo.
Wat doen ons?
'n brief van God.
Great! Lian, wat is de brief van God?
Dit 'n brief van God dat hy vir jou laat weet hoe baie hy jou liefhet.
Cool, maar wat doen ons?
Ons doen 'n plek.
Ons kyk hulle uit. Jy lyk uit.
I'm flying, man.
Oh, wag, hy neem nie af nie. O, wag, hy doen. Tannie, ek moet 5 uur by die huis. Nader! Nader! Ja, dan moet ek so soe. Ja!
Was ek al die...
Kan papa glo dit het gebeur?
Nee, hy is geskok.
Wat?
Nog een brief. Wat sê, kus jy reg? 1 2
'n briefie van God se liefde.
Wie praat volgende?
Ek weet soos
O,
ja.
o.
Jou 'n kaartjie 1600 myl gestuur.
Kilometer?
Mamma.
Ek wil gesê dis van briefie.
Ek dink jy gaan sê van pappa.
Dis van briefie.
Hi, kids. Have you ever been really hungry? I mean, like, really hungry. It doesn't feel very good to have your tummy empty, does it? You know, these days we're thinking a lot about food because Lebanon doesn't have enough food for everybody to eat. Or maybe it has enough food for everybody to eat, but not everybody's got enough money to buy the food they need. And not everybody's sharing what they have. I'm sure you like to eat. I like to eat. What kind of foods do you like? Bread, hummus, pancakes, melons, corn on the cob. Have you ever wished you could do something to help a lot of people to get enough food to eat? I will now tell you a story of one little boy who changed the world. This story is a true story about a boy who fed 2 billion people. No, he didn't do it with 5 loaves and 2 fish, but he did do it with wheat. Here's the story. You see, the boy's name was Norman Borlaug. Now, probably Norman was born just a little before your mom and dad, but maybe about the time of your grandparents or when they were kids. Norman was born on a farm, and he lived with his mom and dad and 2 sisters right in the middle of the United States of America, in a place called Iowa. I like that place because it's very near where I grew up. Nebraska. See, Nebraska is a beautiful place with all rolling hills and green, and oh man, it grows everything. It's got dark soil, rich soil, and it grows delicious corn, golden wheat. Nebraska. Well, Norman grew up in Iowa, right next door. And Norman's father owned great big fields of corn, just like where I'm standing right now. Norman liked to play hide and seek with his sisters in those cornfields. Well, one day, as young Norman was running through the corn to hide from his sisters, he remembered the words of his dad. His dad said, "Be careful not to knock down any of the corn stalks." Norman raced through the very tall corn stalks, dashing here and there. He was so happy. He loved the cornfields because they were so fun to play in. And as he crouched, hiding from his sisters, he thought about why his dad said to be careful about the corn. He could hear his father's voice in his head. Every ear of corn is important, you know, Norman. We are blessed to have so much corn, rows and rows of good corn. But there are people in this world who don't have enough food to eat. Norman couldn't get those words out of his mind. Not enough food to eat. Not enough food. Little Norman decided right then and there, I will do something to make sure that everyone has enough to eat. Well, Norman did just that. First, he went to school, and at school, he learned all he could about plants. What did I say? Yeah, plants. Roots, stems, leaves, bugs, dirt, fruit, seeds, all of it. He learned it all he could about plants. See, Norman was very smart. He got so good at that job that one day a telephone rang and Norman answered it, and it was the Vice President of the United States of America. He called Norman on the telephone, and the Vice President's name was Henry Wallace. Now, Mr. Wallace was also a very interesting man because when he was a boy, he also liked plants, but he had a special opportunity. You see, Mr. Wallace's dad was a scientist, and he had a best friend, and that friend would come over and visit, and his name was Professor George Washington Carver. Now, you should remember that man's name because you see, he was the first man to make the chocolate-covered peanut. Yeah, he was the first guy to ever put chocolate and peanuts together. In fact, he invented peanut butter. In fact, he invented all kinds of different things to do with peanuts. Yeah, Mr. Carver knew plants very well, and he took the time to share with that little boy, Mr. Wallace, and they would walk around the garden and talk about plants. It was so kind of Mr. Carver. Little did he know that little Wallace would grow up to be the Vice President of the United States. Well, now Mr. Wallace had a big problem, and he needed a big solution. He needed a smart, honest man. And so he thought about Norman, and he called him. And he said, Norman, our world has a lot of problems. There isn't enough food to eat for all of the people. Some people are literally starving to death, and it looks like things could get even worse. Just then, Norman remembered his dad's words. He remembered also his determination standing in the cornfield to change the world. Mr. Wallace continued, Norman, I need you to figure out how to make wheat and corn that is fatter and better so people will not starve to death. Well, Norman and Wallace talked about the problem together. You see, plants were getting a type of disease, a sickness that was a rust around the wheat, and it was killing the wheat and it was making the corn very sick. And so all of the crops were dying. And so Norman and Mr. Wallace shook hands, and Norman went out to work on solving the problem. Well, he worked and worked, and he did all different experimentations for almost 20 years. Now it was in the 1960s, and starvation was a real problem in some countries. Have you ever seen someone that looked this hungry? Well, Norman needed God's help to solve this problem. And so Norman prayed for help, and God gave him insight. He figured out a way to pick the very best seeds that wouldn't get any disease. And he chose the best seeds to make shorter corn that was stronger, and shorter wheat that had fatter heads and that were more healthier and that could use less water and live in cold and live in hot. And really, it was a super plant. And Norman figured it all out. God gave him insight. Norman tried those seeds in Mexico. And soon Mexico was getting 600 times as much corn as it had been before. Well, of course, Norman was excited. People came, they were excited. Their countries were in trouble. And so they asked Norman, would you give us some of those seeds? And Norman, he shared. He was so generous. He said, take the seeds, use them. And he developed all these seeds that were really super seeds. That time there was starving people in India and Africa. Norman was so generous that soon these dying countries were growing Norman's disease-resistant seeds, and they became thriving countries. Millions of people were eating bread and tortillas and rolls and buns, all made from Norman's wheat and corn. Do you know they estimate that Norman saved the lives of 2 billion people all over the world? Here's a picture of Norman shaking hands with the President of the United States after Norman had won the most important award in the whole world, the Nobel Peace Prize. The Bible says, I was hungry and you fed me. Jesus said that about people that he called his sheep. He also said about people who he called the goats, I was hungry and you gave me nothing. Sharing always works because it's selfless, and selflessness is God's way of solving problems. Of course, you remember when Jesus fed 5,000 people. It all started because somebody shared. A little boy shared his lunch. Sharing started the whole thing. Of course, we probably wouldn't even know about that boy if he hadn't shared. Sharing is good because you never know where the sharing will end. It keeps sprouting up and creating more sharing seeds in others. But don't be fooled. Sharing is not easy. Why? Because we don't always feel like sharing. Sometimes we feel just like sharing with ourselves. One thing that can help us to be more generous is to remember all the people who share with us. Our mom, our dad, our brothers, sisters, our neighbors, our friends, people that we don't even know sometimes are just generous. And when we think about all that they share with us, it can make us more generous too. And so, boys and girls, may you resolve to be generous, just like Norman, who ended up feeding 2 billion people. And don't forget about Wallace, who so kindly shared the opportunity with Norman. And don't forget about George Washington Carver, who so generously shared his hand to take little Wallace around and teach him about plants. And don't forget about Susan. Susan, yes, that's the woman who adopted George Washington Carver when he was just a baby and taught him to love nature. And so Susan never knew that she really fed 2 billion people through her generosity. And that's the way sharing works. We just never know where it will stop. May God use you through the Holy Spirit and the power of Jesus Christ to change the world.
Hallo julle, my naam is Monica Boda. Vandag gaan ek vir julle Amazing Grace speel. En nou gaan ek praat dat mense en hulle tale speel.
Olá, bom dia. Hello, good morning. My name is Tilly and I'm Portuguese. Eu sou portuguesa and I'm going to be showing you how to make a cookie, a typical Portuguese cookie with cornflakes, and that's the very funny part of it. And I've been making this cookie since I was 6 years old. I used to do it with my mom, of course. And to start with, we're gonna do all the typical ingredients. And one, of course, that it's very typical in this recipe is using 2 eggs. So we're going to just add the 2 eggs to the bowl and give it just a quick whisk just to break down the egg. And then, of course, olive oil, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Here we are. Well, this time, instead of using normal milk, I'm using soya milk. 2 tablespoons of soya milk as well. Just give it a light mix. And then 8 tablespoons of brown sugar. There it goes. Lemon rind, a whole lemon. Try not to catch the white part of the lemon. Let me just show you, I've still got a little bit left. So it just avoids that bitter taste. But here's the rest that I've already got ready for you. So basically at the moment we've got all the wet ingredients. The ones that are still needed to be added are the flour and the baking powder. This flour is stone ground flour, cake flour, so it's a better option than the normal flour that one buys. So let me take this out of the way. And let's not forget, so it's 2 cups of flour and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Don't forget to keep your hands extremely clean. You know how to wash your hands with soap. Take about 20 seconds, especially if you know that you're going to be sharing this with the whole family. So as you can see, it's mixing slowly. And soon my hands are going to get into them and I'm going to be rolling little balls which are going to be dipped in cornflakes. This cornflake recipe in Portuguese is called bolinho de cornflake. And the fun begins now. Okay, as you can see, it doesn't really stick a lot to your hands, but if it does, you can always add a little bit more of flour. It's not a problem. Yeah, always have a little bit of flour ready. Yeah, so just get another bit of flour mixed. And then we're going to just put some cornflakes on a plate. It does take a little bit of time, but I mean, when I say a little bit of time, probably a minute. It sounds like you have to wait forever, but not. I'm just going to get rid of the dough from my hands so I can, so I can just roll those balls nicely and roll them through the cornflakes. You can, at this point, you can get the whole family ready to help. Make sure they wash their hands. You can make it whatever size you like. And let's see, this is the fun part. Here's the baking tray. Look, press it onto the cornflakes, make it cute. Look at it. So any shape, any size, it doesn't matter. Each one of them are unique, and you just carry on until the whole tray is filled. And once you've got the whole tray filled up, of course, it goes into the oven at 180 degrees. I'm just putting 2 just as an example because I've already got them made up for you just before we started. And we'll put it at 180 degrees for 15 minutes. And voila! Look how pretty. Let me put them this way. Bring you another tray. This is a typical pattern from Portugal. You'll find that in the Portuguese restaurants and a lot of homes, we have tiles, and they're mostly blue and white. And to make it pretty, I always love to add some flower petals. Never underestimate the power of flower petals. And you can see these are so pretty that you can actually use them as little cups. I also kept some of these cups to show you, and here they are. So depending how fancy you want to go, you can just add any kind of flowers. Just make sure you ask your mommy which flowers you can go to the garden and pick and enjoy. This is something that I've been doing as a little girl, and I wanted to share with you. For a 100% plant-based recipe equivalent, you can go to deliciousfood@gmail.com, and I hope that you will be having a lot of fun, enjoying making these with your brothers and sisters and the whole family together. Enjoy and goodbye. See you next time.
Hallo almal, my naam is Renay Tennyson. Ek gaan vandag vir julle vertel van 'n storie wat afspeel in Suidoos-Asië. Het julle onlangs buite toe gegaan en gaan kyk vir die blare wat verander? Veral met herfs word die blare gewoonlik van groen verander dit na rooi en dan geel, en ook as die blare doodgaan dan is dit 'n bruin kleur. Maar ek gaan vandag fokus op die kleur geel. Het julle geweet dat die kleur geel die sigbaarste is op die kleurspektrum? As gevolg van die hoë refleksie is dit ook 'n sekondêre ligbron. Dit is waarom geel gebruik word in noodvoertuigdienste. Geel verwys ook na energie en die lewe. Maar ook aan die ander kant kan dit ook verwys na siekte. In die Bybel word daar 4 keer na die woord geel verwys, en dit kom voor elke keer in Levitikus. In die Bybelse tyd was daar 'n siekte wat melaatsheid genoem was. Mense het sere op hulle lywe gekry, oralste, en die sere was 'n geel kleur. Gewoonlik moes die mense hulle self aan die priester gaan wys het, en as hulle die sere gesien het, is die mense gevra om hulle mense te groet, hulle familie, hulle kinders, en dan moes hulle buite die stad gaan bly het, saam met ander mense wat melaats was. In Suidoos-Asië bly daar 'n dogtertjie, en haar naam is Geel. Dis 'n snaakse naam, nee. Sy het saam met haar mamma en pappa gebly in 'n klein dorpie. Vandat sy klein was, het haar mamma en pappa gesien dat sy nie reageer heeltemal op alles wat hulle doen nie. As hulle byvoorbeeld hulle hande klap, of as daar 'n geluid is, iets wat val, dan sy nie gereageer soos gewone kinders nie. En hulle kon nie verstaan wat is fout met haar nie. Eers baie later het hulle agtergekom dat sy doof gebore is. Sy kon glad nie hoor nie, en as gevolg daarvan kon sy ook nie praat nie. Hulle kon haar ook nie in 'n skool sit nie, want niemand wou haar help nie. Die mense het regtig nie geweet hoe om met haar te praat nie. En veral in Suidoos-Asië weet mense nie hoe om met dowe kinders te werk nie. Op 'n dag het daar 'n vroutjie gekom na die dorp, en haar naam is Sompou. Sy het toe vandat sy klein was geleer om vingertaal te praat. Sy kan hoor en sy kan praat, maar sy het haarself geleer om met dowe mense te praat. En sy het besluit dat sy eendag dowe mense gaan help. Wat sy gedoen het, is sy het 'n sentrum gestig vir dowe kinders, en op die oomblik bly daar omtrent 17 dowe kinders, almal saam. Sy leer hulle, sy gee vir hulle skool, sy help hulle met projekte om geld in te samel vir hulle vir kos en verblyf. En sy het toe vir Geel se mamma en pappa gevra of sy daar kan gaan, en hulle het ingestem. Sy bly nou by haar, en soos ek sê, sy help haar om te leer en alles. As hulle vir Geel wil roep, dan maak hulle so. Dit is hoe jy haar naam sê in vingertaal. So, as jy eendag wil dink aan haar, dan kan jy so maak. Dit is hoe sy geroep word. Haar naam is Geel omdat Die meeste mense in daardie land se hare swart is, maar jy sal sien dat sy ligte hare het. En dit is waarvan sy haar naam gekry het, maar ook omdat sy so 'n energieke dogtertjie is en dan natuurlik omdat sy doof is. Geel hou baie van fietsry, sy hou baie van inkleer en natuurlik om pop te speel. En sy kan die hele dag haarself besig hou. Sy hou ook baie daarvan om gimnastiekoefeninge te doen en ons het die hele dag lekker saam met hulle gespeel. In Markus 7 in die Bybel vertel dit van 'n man wat doofstom was. Hy het gebly in Decapolis. Jesus het op 'n dag verbygekom en hy het gesien daar's 'n klomp mense en die man het na Jesus toe gekom. Jesus het hom weggeneem van die skare af en eenkant het hy sy vingers in sy ore gedruk en hy het gespoeg en aan sy tong geraak. Hy het opgekyk na die hemel toe en gesê:
Vader.
En dit beteken gaan oop. En dadelik het die man se tong losgeraak en hy kon praat en hy kon ook dadelik hoor. En Jesus het die man eenkant toe gevat sodat hy nie kon skaam kry van al die mense nie, want partykeer as mense anders is, kan mense regtig baie lelik wees. En hy het dadelik gepraat en Jesus het vir hom gesê: "Moet vir niemand vertel wat ek gedoen het nie." Dink julle hy kon enigsins stil bly? Nee, glad nie. Die man het, omdat hy kon praat, vir almal vertel wat Jesus vir hom gedoen het. Somtyds, of meeste van die tyd, het ons ore en ons het 'n mond, maar ons wil nie vir mense van Jesus vertel nie. Ons bly stil, of soos baie keer skaam om vir ons maatjies van Jesus te vertel. Al kan ons hoor en al kan ons praat. En somtyds, as mamma en pappa met ons praat, dan wil ons nie luister nie. Ons ore is toe. En baie keer as ons daai klein stemmetjie hoor van die Heilige Gees, dan luister ons ook nie. So ek wil hê as julle saam met julle maatjies speel, moet julle onthou, julle moet vir Geel onthou. Julle moet onthou dat sy nie kan hoor of praat nie. En as mamma en pappa vir julle iets vra om te doen, dan moet julle luister. En as Jesus of die Heilige Gees met julle praat, dan moet julle ook luister. En julle moet vir almal vertel wat Jesus vir julle doen. Ons groot mense doen dit ook. Ons het ore en ons het 'n mond, maar ons luister ook nie altyd nie. Ek wil ook hê julle moet asseblief vir Geel en vir haar maatjies bid en ook vir Sompou wat so mooi na hulle kyk. Kom ons bid saam. Liewe Here, baie dankie dat ons 'n mond het om te kan praat en ore het om te kan luister. Help ons asseblief om ons mond te gebruik om U te verheerlik, om vir ander mense van U te vertel. Here, gee dat ons nie sal skaam sal wees vir U nie en gee dat ons waar ook al ons gaan vir mense van U liefde sal vertel. Here, help ons asseblief om te luister vir ons mamma en pappa en help ons ook asseblief om te luister vir U stem. En Here, vergewe ons asseblief as ons nie altyd luister nie en nie altyd van U vertel nie. Ons bid dit in Jesus se naam alleen. Amen.
You called me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. My soul rests in your embrace, for I am yours, and you are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you've never
Hallo julle, so vandag het ons 'n spesiale programmetjie vir julle. En my naam is Krajaan en ander mense noem my Kiki as hulle my naam nie kan onthou nie. En hierdie is Lian. So Lian, vertel my wat gaan ons vandag doen?
Ons gaan vandag 'n kraaf doen. Maar Krajaan, kan jy vir ons sê waaroor hierdie kraaf gaan?
Ek gaan dit los vir 'n surprise. So, Lian, voordat ons gaan na die surprise toe. Open met gebed asseblief.
Dankie, ek sal so maak. So ons kan asseblief ons hoofde buig en dan gaan ons 'n gebedjie doen. Liewe Here, ek vra dat U asseblief vir ons saam met ons sal wees, dat ons hierdie kraaf kan geniet en dat ons in U naam kan doen. En ek bid dit in U naam. Amen.
Amen.
Die verrassing is 'n storie wat ek julle gaan vertel voordat ons die crafting gaan doen.
Vandag se storie gaan oor sendelinge. En sendelinge het ook huisies nodig om in te slaap, net soos wat ons huisies nodig het om in te slaap. Nou, hulle huisies lyk dalk nou nie soos ons huisies nie, maar baie van hulle huisies lyk ook baie soos ons huisies. Maar baie van die huisies wat ons van weet, het deure nodig, sodat ons kan ingaan, en vensters vir die lug om deur te gaan, en 'n dakkie bo ons kop, sodat ons nie nat reën nie. Nou ander sendelinge, of meestal sendelinge, het ook vliegtuigies nodig, sodat hulle oor see kan gaan en vir ander mense kan vertel wat nog nie van Jesus weet nie. Vir hulle te vertel van al die stories van Jesus, al die wonderwerke, en dit is waarvoor die vliegtuig nodig is. En die sendelinge se werk is om vir ander mense te vertel van Jesus en die boodskap so vinnig as moontlik deur die wêreld te laat vlieg. Maar sendelinge vertel ander mense van hoe Jesus ons gered het. Okay, so vandag gaan ons spaarbussies maak. Yay! So, ons gaan 3 spaarbussies maak. Ene waar jy geld kan spaar vir jouself. Ander ene is vir die kerk vir jou tiendes. En dan die een wat ons julle mee in die stad gaan wys is vir die sendelinge. So ja.
En jy gaan die volgende nodig hê om hierdie spaarbussies vir jou te maak. Hier het ons 3 verskillende bakkies. Ons het ons koutjies en ons het ons papiertjies en ons gaan die bloues gebruik vandag en ons washi tapes. En hier maak ek die gleufie sodat ons die galkies hier kan ingooi. En onthou om mamma en pappa te vra om jou te help met die mes, want die mes kan baie gevaarlik wees. Kan jy 'n dekseltjie vat en jy kan hom mooi versier met stickertjies.
Jy kan altyd die papier buite die bakkie sit of jy kan dit binne in die bakkie sit. En hierso gaan ons 'n kaartjie maak. Jy kan kies wat jy wil doen in die agtergrond en dan kan jy sendingwerk op beskryf. Dis hoe die kaartjie gaan lyk. Nou gaan ons die kaartjie vat wat ons gemaak het in die middel van die papiertjie sit, so 'n bietjie onder sit en dan gaan ons nou die lande neerskryf sodat ons net kan merk waar ons gaan teken. So ons het vir Suid-Afrika, Australië, Asië, Antarktika en Amerika. Kom ons teken nou die lande en kleur dit net gou in. As ons nou klaar die papiertjie geplak het, dan gaan ons nou die ander 2 blou papiertjies aan mekaar vasplak. As ons dit dan klaar vasgeplak het, gaan ons die papiertjie lekker versier met stickertjies, net jou keuse wat jy wil. Nou ons klaar versier het, kan ons die papiertjie oprol en in die houer sit en die deksel daarbo sit. En dit is hoe hy gaan lyk as hy klaar is.
En hier is jou 3 spaarbussies, jou spaargeld, jou sendingwerk en jou tiendes.
So, dit is vandag se kraafteam gewees. Ek hoop julle het die program baie geniet en ek hoop dat julle spaar vir sendelinge en dat julle sendelinge by die huis sal wees. Leon, sal asseblief vir ons gebed.
Ja, met graagte. Kom ons buig ons hoofde en dan sê ons dankie vir die Here dat ons vandag se kraaf so baie geniet het. Liewe Jesus, dankie dat ons vandag so lekker kraaf kon gehad het. Dat ons 'n bietjie meer kon uitbrei oor sendingwerk en dat ons bid dat elkeen 'n sending sal kan wees. Ek bid dit in U naam. Amen.
Amen. Bye bye julle.
Bye bye.
We want to show you 2 traditional Russian recipes. Pilagi и сырники.
This cake's called pirogis. It's using yeast dough, which is very adaptable. You can even use your bread dough recipe. For sweet fillings, we like apple with cinnamon. And for savory, we're using cabbage and eggs. Cabbage is fried a little bit and eggs boiled. This is the recipe. You mix the dough as normal and let it rise in the oven for 50 degrees for 1 hour. In the meantime, you make fillings. We like sour apples. For savory fillings, you slice cabbage fine and you fry it, and then add green onions and boiled cutted eggs. Our dough rised twice. It's time to mix it, and it's a big fun. The secret is to knead it very thoroughly, and you have lots of fun with that. It's time to fill it up. So use your fine motor skills to paste it very nicely together. A little bit of practice and you will be masters. Spray the tray and you can put your pirogis on a tray and spray them too. You can use the egg yolk to smear the top of pirogis and they will look very lovely. Now we're gonna prepare syrniki, which is also Russian cakes made with quark or ricotta cheese, eggs and flour. Cakes will not stick if you roll them in the flour. It's time to prepare Russian table. Together with pirogis, Russian eat sour cream, or you can use also yogurt. Let us see which spoon Benjamin wants to use. A biggest one, middle, or the smallest one. Can you recognize berries in this bowl? It is raspberries. That's what the Russian song about. Raspberries, raspberries, raspberries in my garden.
Калинка моя, в саду ягоду малинка, малинка моя. Калинка, калинка, калинка моя, в саду ягоду малинка, малинка моя. Калинка, калинка моя, в саду ягоду малинка, малинка моя. Калинка, калинка, калинка моя, в саду ягоду малинка, малинка моя. Красавица душа.
Сейчас матрёшки будут вам танцевать.
Калинка, калинка, калинка моя, в саду ягоду малинка, малинка моя. Калинка, калинка, калинка моя, в саду ягоду малинка, малинка моя.
Hello kids, I'm Elijah.
I'm Samuel. We're the Parks Brothers.
And we live in the country of Lebanon on Middle East University campus.
Right down below us is the big city of Beirut, and as missionary kids here, we get to do a lot of fun activities, and we get to help our parents in what they do as missionaries. Our parents were missionaries, our whole family were missionaries in Turkey from 2004 to 2014, and now we're missionaries here in Lebanon. So one activity that we do to help the people here is we help Iraqi refugees that are down in the city with food. We distribute food bags to them with essentials such as oil or flour, beans, and we give out hundreds of these bags, and then the refugees get to choose clothing for themselves, and it's a great ministry. We get to see the people smile as they get this food and this clothing that they really desperately need.
Another activity that we do with our parents is we help Syrian refugees by giving them plants planted in water bottles like this. This is a pepper plant, and we give them out to the Syrian refugees, and it helps them to get food in the time when food is scarce because of coronavirus.
Yeah, and we also get to do a lot of fun things here. We get to play soccer down here with the college students and with some Syrian refugees. Soccer is a lot of fun, and we have a great garden growing here. Here's some kale and Swiss chard and basil and onions. Oh, and I'm also building a wall over here and of water bottles to keep this dirt from coming down, and we're gonna expand our garden all the way up there. So being a missionary kid is a lot of fun, and we get to help people. It's great.
Have a great day.
Jesus, groot bo almal, sterkte verlossing, magtige Heer en heiland, Immanuel, God is met ons, reddende Here, lewende woord. 1 Tessalonisense 5 vers 17. Moet nooit moeg word om te bid nie. Psalm 23 vers 1. Die Here sorg vir my soos 'n herder wat sy skape oppas. Ek het niks meer nodig nie. Dankie liewe Jesus vir 'n lekker dag. Dankie dat almal 'n Bybel het. En dankie dat ons kan leer uit die Bybel van Jesus. Amen.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of Kids on a Mission. We hope you're going to tune in for our last program as we experience a little bit more about the different cultures in the world and speak to yet a few more missionaries and missionary kids. Let's close with a word of prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for the stories that we could hear today. Thank you for the story about the little girl named Yellow and the boy who changed the world by feeding 2 billion people. Lord Jesus, we know that you can do so many great things if we just give our little bits to you. Help us to give our hearts and our deeds and our acts to you so that you can do great things with us. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Be a missionary.